It's a lovely evening, so I've decided to go on a adventure. My house unfortunately is only a few metres that way, and my lockdown camping spot is only a few metres that way. So what better time to talk about extreme ultralight minimal camping. So the first thing to think about is a tent. Even the world's most expensive lightweight minimal tents like the Hilleberg, which I'm very proud of here, is actually an unnecessary luxury, especially in conditions like this. So today we're going to dispense with that and we're going to sleep al fresco under the stars. Obviously, to take things to the other extreme, you could just spend the night in a survival bag and nothing else. That would be the ultimate ultralight minimal camping, but there's many reasons why you wouldn't. I've done it, trust me, it's not a fun hobby. It's sweaty, it's unpleasant, it's not very comfy. And ultimately I'm doing this for fun rather than special forces training. So we're going to dispense with the bivy bag as well and go for a nice compromise. So this is the shelter for tonight, and really it's more to shield me from the wet grass than from the sky. I'm just going to unzip it and lie on it. So this is a bivy bag with hoops and pegs, which I can get rid of and just lie on it like a ground sheet. No tarp, so that's the first thing I shall be bringing. Next thing to think about is a sleeping bag. This is usually on a minimal camping trip going to be your biggest, bulkiest item. Generally, as the temperature goes down, the bulk goes up. Obviously, in these conditions, again, I'm going to use probably my smallest and lightest sleeping bag, an Alpkit Pipedream. Not sure of the specifications of this, but those labels might give some clues. It's a down bag, it packs down very, very small and is also extremely light. So that is coming with us on tonight's trip. The next thing to think about is some kind of sleeping system to actually lie on, like a mattress. Obviously the traditional sort of closed cell foam roller mattresses are very light, they're very comfy, they insulate your body temperature from the cold ground, but they roll to about sort of this width. So again, they're quite bulky. So a modern compromise would be something like this from Thermarest, which folds in half and compacts down quite nicely. But we're going to dispense with that because that is what is possible to be done with a Thermarest. This is probably the smallest, lightest and most expensive Thermarest. I think this is called the X-Lite. It's incredible, it weighs very little and it fits into the bottle cage of a mountain bike. And when you inflate it, even more amazingly, it actually has a decent R value, which means it insulates you from the ground. I actually use this even in the snow and it keeps me warm, which is unbelievable. So that's about it. That is sleep and shelter all in three packages. So the next thing to think about is how we carry it to the site. Now obviously my site is somewhere under those trees, so I'm not going to need an anatomical backpack like I would obviously recommend if you're walking any kind of distance or carrying any kind of weight. So I'm just going to go for the lightest, most minimal dry bag. Like this is an Exped Cloudburst 25 litre. It's super light, but crucially the reason why I'm not just using a carrier bag, which obviously would be the ultimate lightweight, this is actually 100% airtight and watertight, so if it did rain or there was dew fall, at least my kit would stay dry. Right, so there's the packed bag. That's basically my home for the next 24 hours. And of course every dad should have a scale in his bike workshop. 2.56 kilos. Now, like I said, that's not the most extreme lightweight solution for shelter in bed. You could very easily just dust down on the grass in a survival bag that weighs a few grams. But for a very comfy night's sleep, that is pretty good going. And that's basically everything I need apart from the clothes on my back and something to eat. So let's have a look at them next. Right, food and drink. So first things first, I'm going to need fresh water, of course, probably about 1 litre for an overnighter, for a one-pot meal and obviously just to keep hydrated. As always, there is an extreme lightweight solution, which is just a really thin plastic bag full of water. But again, I'm going to cheat a little bit and bring a nice aluminium bottle. So that's coming with me. And you'll have seen on previous videos, for ultra light and minimal cooking and making coffee and heating water, the best solution by miles is the jet boil, which all fits in this bag. you'll have seen this if you watched our recent coffee championship video. There's everything that you could possibly need fits in that cylinder, including the cup to eat and drink out of. It also boils water quicker than pretty much anything else. It includes fuel, it includes a little tripod, a hanging kit. It's generally amazing, but I'm going to cheat a few times tonight, because I don't have to be as minimal as absolutely possible, especially given that my hike is about, I don't know, 10 meters. So I'm going to leave this behind, and I'm going to go old school and bring the Trangia. To be honest, this isn't much heavier, but as you can see, it's quite a lot bulkier. There is fuel in here, there's a burner, there's a windshield. But what is better about this for tonight is obviously there are bigger pots, which means that I can make a nice big bowl of noodles and actually sit and eat them rather than sort of eat them out of a cup. So just for luxury and just for the pleasure of using it, I'm going to bring an old Trangia. That's about it really, to be honest. Obviously food, if you wanted to go minimum, well then MRPs, I think they're called, military ration packs. Sort of boil in the bag meals. That's what a lot of my mates eat when they're out camping, but you know, I'm not a big fan, so I've come up with a better idea. Been to the Chizza. Nice big chippy tea. As you can see, there's a big space here where the Savoy was, but I've eaten that, but you can imagine. So that's me sorted. Enough calories will be in me to keep me warm all night. Right, clothing. All you really need when it's 20 degrees in the daytime, probably dropping down to about 8 at night. So one layer of merino, long sleeve top, long johns, undies, and a buff to wear around your neck or turn into a hat. Keep the heat in. My favourite brand of merino by a long way is Icebreaker. It's brilliant. I have pretty much all of their stuff in all the different colours and weights. This 200 weight is absolutely perfect as a long sleeve base layer. And footwear, you don't need boots if you're hiking less than 30 meters. So trail shoes are a good compromise, super light, but obviously if you're getting up and moving around on wet grass, at least they keep your feet dry and warm. Salomon Speedcross 5s, these are my current favorite trail shoes, and I love the color as well. And one last way of keeping it minimal, the technology that you need for a 24-hour or overnight trip is really not that much. This is the usual sort of first port of call that I always bring with me, which is the Goal Zero charger. This is amazing if you're using something like a Garmin to navigate, if you're using a Petzl for lighting, and of course things like a GoPro and an iPhone for filming everything. But I don't even need that, so that's getting dispensed with. Really, the only technology I'm bringing with me is this phone for filming and the latest Garmin Fenix watch, which is an amazing piece of kit. I don't exactly need its GPS properties to navigate across my garden, but I am interested in the thermometer function to see how cold it gets tonight, so we'll see how that goes. Now all that remains is to choose a spot. Sun's gone down over the trees. Got a nice little cabin buried in the bottom of the garden, which I'm sure my kids would love to sleep in, but that's a different style of camping and not for today. This rather raggedy patch of lawn underneath this shady tree might be the best spot actually. This rather nice flowery bush I happen to know is going to keep the sun rise off my back, which is critical because this time of year the sun's coming up well before 6 AM. That's it. All you really need is a 7 by 3 foot patch of lawn and a bivy bag, and I'm sleeping out tonight underneath that. One last cheat, which is so tiny that I almost forgot to mention it. You almost always going to have something you can use as a pillow on a camping trip. Obviously tonight I'm not having any kind of outer layer like a down jacket that I can bundle up and use. So I'm actually going to bring a pillow, but as you can see, when it's in my hand, it's absolutely tiny. This is definitely the best, in my opinion, on the market, the To Summit Aeros. It's super comfy when it's inflated, but it's also about as heavy as a packet of crisps and fits in the palm of your hand. Whomp, there it is. The titanium mug you might have seen on previous videos, it's purely for show. It's actually much bulkier and probably not much lighter than this silicone one. So for minimal, this is the answer. Hello. It'd be very weird not having the Beast of Bedlington with me tonight. He loves a camping trip, but I do know from experience that he hates bivy bags. And he's also a fan of being on the sofa when his mum's watching Netflix. So I suspect that's where he will very shortly be slinking off to. Sky turning a lovely dark blue now. Can't believe more people don't do this. It's free. Well, except for all the expensive equipment, but you know. Well, I'm all dusked down in the bivvy now, and it's getting on for about midnight. Temperature's definitely dropped outside, but it's lovely and warm in here. This light down sleeping bag's doing a great job. It's a really nice clear night. I can see a few stars. Unfortunately, the light pollution's not great around here because we're in the suburbs, only a few minutes outside of Manchester. And also, despite this country being on lockdown, I can still hear traffic, which isn't cool. Not a great deal, admittedly, but you do hear the odd train or car. But it's still so much better than being indoors in a bed. You can hear the wind in the leaves and creatures rustling around in the hedges. This is amazing.